You may have seen videos of Chinese parks in the past. They usually go viral for looking something like this, or this, or maybe this. But I am here to tell you that Chinese parks are more than just old Chinese men doing gymnastics routines that would make Simone Biles cower in fear. They are actually public places that are very special to their local communities. They are beautiful, safe, clean, and they offer a wide variety of activities to people of all kinds. In short, they are great places. If Chinese parks are great places, what exactly makes a great place? Well, there are many possible answers to this question. You may even have some ideas clanging around your head as I speak. But to avoid wasting too much of your time, I'm just going to straight up tell you exactly how I will be defining a great place. We are going to be using the Project for Public Space's handy little chart here to determine what makes a great place, and to determine whether or not Chinese parks actually do in fact qualify as great places. I'm not going to go out looking too far and wide for the best parks, but I'll simply go around to 3 different parks in my local neighborhood, all within a short walk from my home. There are 4 main components to making a great place. The place should be accessible, comfortable, sociable, and have multiple uses. The main park that we are going to be looking at today is Sihai Gongyuan, one of my favorite neighborhood parks, and the one that I think best represents a really great place. Let's begin with accessibility. Though, to be fair, all 4 of the components of a great place intersect and overlap with each other. How do you make a space that can be genuinely accessed and enjoyed by all, no matter their age, gender, social class, what have you? A place that can level the playing field and bring dissimilar people together. A place that makes a community safer and stronger. It begins with a place that actually is part of the community. This park is centrally located amongst schools, shops, apartments, and office buildings, meaning that it can be walked to by anyone living or working or getting an education in the area. It is also easily accessible via public transport. Within this park, you will find plenty of free and clean public restrooms, as well as multiple paths that can be utilized and appreciated by people with varying degrees of ability. Because this park, like most Chinese parks, are easily accessible, they are very well utilized and are often filled with people all throughout the day. The next component of a great place is multiple uses. Here you will see some of the hallmarks of many Chinese parks, including central water features with the classic lotus pond, or crouching tiger, hidden dragon bamboo groves to stroll through, to pavilions and pagodas to lounge underneath, to playgrounds for kids and gym equipment for olds, to public art, to chess sets, to dog parks, and more. A great place will also be comfortable. It is very rare for parks or other public spaces in China to implement hostile architecture. If you are unaware, hostile architecture are design features intended to make a space less comfortable. Things like angled benches or tiny armrests, those are hostile architecture. Hostile architecture is not intended to solve any of society's problems, or to actually make life better for anyone, but instead it is used to actively make a place worse, and therefore to make you, or if we are totally being honest here, the homeless population, less likely to linger in any one space. Thankfully, the benches and pavilions in Chinese parks are made to be used and made to be enjoyed. Because of this, people do actually use them. They stay and they play games or they chit chat, and they enjoy being sociable with people within their community. They make new friends or they catch up with old ones. Another important part of the park being comfortable is that it is safe and it is clean. These parks always have security guards, of course. This is China after all, and Baoan are everywhere. But you've also got full-time park maintenance that work every day to ensure the grounds are well manicured and the restrooms are clean. I guess that actually knocks out the sociability component of a great public space as well, but let's just quickly go over it. Chinese parks are well utilized as places to meet up, often for group exercises like guangchangwu or public square dancing, or as you saw before, grandpas and uncles doing gymnastics. But you're also likely to see young people taking wedding photos, retirees playing cards and mahjong. You're also likely to see full-on bands with saxophones and guitars and drums and you name it, people drag their instrument out there and they play it. Or even group athletic classes like running groups or yoga. People really make use of their parks as community gathering places because of their being very accessible, comfortable spaces that can accommodate multiple uses. Before I go into a diatribe at the end of this video, I want to highlight one cool improvement that the local government has been doing to all of the parks in the area, and that is this new high-tech solar-powered gym equipment that is free to use, and it can track all of your workouts and your progress through WeChat. Shenzhen, of course, is a high-tech city, and even these parks are now becoming, I guess, what you can call next-generation parks. They've begun introducing technology to the parks that will further increase their comfort, accessibility, sociability, and use cases. Another park in the area that's on screen now has even completely removed car accessibility and replaced the parking lot that used to be here with the same new high-tech gym equipment, as well as new shade trees and a playground. So now that I think I've argued, hopefully successfully, that these parks are great places, you might be thinking, well, duh, parks everywhere are like this, right? And I don't disagree that in many places around the world, parks are really great. But I do want to push back a little bit, simply based on my own experience in my own backyard. Now, I don't really have much interest necessarily in content that is like America is so bad and China is so good, but I do just want to share this briefly for illustrative purposes. Without doxing myself too much, if I compare the main park in my hometown in California, the supposed richest state in the supposed richest country, you'll see some stark differences. The tennis courts that I used growing up, they can no longer be used after dusk because the button-operated lights have been disconnected. The public bathrooms are completely filthy, and they are constantly locked to prevent homeless people from spending time in the park. In order to get a new playground, private citizens had to actually organize a fundraiser on PayPal, which took years in the making to get the new playground paid for and installed. Local government didn't do it, the mayor didn't do it, the city council didn't do it, public funds were not used, private funds were used to improve the public park. Our priorities, at least in my hometown, are completely busted. Instead of spending money to make the park more accessible, they turn off the lights and they close up the bathrooms. Instead of utilizing public funds to add more use, the public needs to organize it and pay for it by themselves. Instead of making the space more comfortable by adding coverings or benches, they removed the shade so people wouldn't linger. And like most things in many parts of the USA, the main way that you get there is by driving your car, making it far less likely that you or your neighbors will go there and enjoy it every day, and less likely that you're going to meet new people, and even less likely for you or anyone else to be sociable, whether in the park itself or on the way there. I want to just reiterate and be clear here as I wrap this up that there are many great parks in America. I love taking a walk in Central Park in New York City, just as an example. I want America to be a better place. I want America to serve the needs of the communities and to be filled with great places that are enjoyed by everyone. I wish very much for America to catch up. I also want to be clear that I have nothing against homeless people. I believe that if we aren't going to provide housing for everyone, the absolute bare minimum that we could do is to not lock the few public restrooms that exist and then force the homeless people to poop in the grass like wild animals, which of course then causes neighbors to complain that the homeless people are pooping outside, which then leads to worse outcomes for everyone. So I'm not sure how I got to here exactly from where I started in a video about China's parks being genuinely great places, but hey, that's where I ended up. I hope you don't mind. And so that's the end. I think China's parks are great places. Let me know if you've been to a Chinese park, if you agree or if you disagree. Let me know what you think about the parks in your local community. Are they genuinely great places, or do they leave a lot to be desired? I would love to hear where you're from and what you think about public spaces in general in your community, because I love public spaces. The town square, the park, I don't know, anywhere where people can go and gather and just enjoy each other and enjoy spending time outside, because I hate being cooped up in an office, and I hate being stuck at home. Most of my day is usually outside. So anyway, take care guys. Bye bye. See you later. And I'll see you next time, if you are kind enough to join me again. Bye.
平衡测试完毕，现在进行动效测试，请挪动双脚，使小底灯快变亮。听到起跳口令后，用力跳起。起跳，动效测试完毕。现在进行反应时测试，请用手或脚触碰亮起的测试灯。听到开始口令后，进行反应时测试。开始。
Spend any amount of time in southern China, and you will find a lot of communities that look something like this. Even here in the ultra-modern city of Shenzhen, you will come across neighborhoods of extremely densely packed, low-rise, walk-up, mixed-use communities. These communities are called urban villages, and they are very common here in Guangdong province. Guangdong's urban villages are unique, and they're easily identified by their Washou Lo, meaning handshake buildings. You can probably guess why they have that name, but just in case, it's because they say that you can open your window and shake the hand of your neighbor. That's how close the houses are. These handshake buildings in Shenzhen's urban villages have not just survived but thrived, while the new city has sprung up all around them. Much of the city that was built around and eventually enveloped the urban villages looks a lot like other Chinese cities. In many cases, once you leave the urban village, you don't have much of a sense of place in Shenzhen, China. Shenzhen, I would argue, is the Chinese equivalent of any place USA. It is both a new city and a city of immigrants, meaning that it sometimes lacks a kind of culture and history of its own. Much of Shenzhen looks like this: shared footpaths and bike lanes, on-street parking, street-level parking, even worse, parking on sidewalks, very, very few protected bike lanes. It is a typical Chinese city with a dense urban environment that is walkable, but not necessarily pedestrian friendly. It is not particularly accessible for people with disabilities or comfortable for anybody to move about within. These two examples of Shenzhen are how much of China, and how many big cities especially, used to be. Local neighborhoods that were swallowed up by rapid development, and rapid development that wasn't necessarily done by anyone who cares about livability, walkability, or other general urbanist best practices. The idea was rapid development, build at all costs as quickly as possible, without a ton of forethought about how it all works together. This is just a generalization. Don't take it to mean every city in China developed in this way. Leave your comments at the door. I'm just speaking in generalities here. But I think that it is quite clear that in a lot of cases, city design hasn't always taken on a methodical, holistic, person-first approach. Now, I'm no urban planner, I'll be the first to tell you that. If you've seen my other videos in this urbanist kind of category though, you will remember that I did study geography in university, and that I personally feel really affected by my environment. I tend to notice details in the built environment especially that make me feel good, as well as those things that make me feel bad. For example, footpaths that are shared between bikes, scooters, and pedestrians make me feel bad. Footpaths for pedestrians, roads for cars, and separate protected bike lanes, well, that just makes me feel good. So with that long introduction out of the way, let's take a look at a brand new neighborhood in Shenzhen and see all the things that make it an example of great urban design and hopefully representative of future city development, whether here in China or elsewhere around the world. This is Prince Bay, a peninsula on the southern tip of Shekou in Nanshan District, Shenzhen. It is situated directly across from the Hong Kong New Territories and next to a massive shipyard and industrial area. For more information on the area, check out my video on the Shekou Ferry Terminal and Cruise Center, linked in the description. Much of the Prince Bay neighborhood development project has been built on reclaimed land. This has given the developers a blank canvas to create a new city completely and quite literally from the ground up. This has allowed them to rethink how a city should be, from traffic patterns to public transit to walkability, accessibility, and more. We start our tour here on Yolun Dadao. This is currently the only access point by car to Prince Bay, as well as the only large avenue in the neighborhood with multiple lanes of vehicle traffic on each side. This road leads directly to the ferry terminal, ensuring easy vehicle access and reducing congestion to the ferry terminal, while every cross street is narrow and with a low speed limit. The crossroads with Yolun Dadao are currently primarily only access streets that will take you to underground parking or to hotel drop-off points, while the one main avenue is built for moving vehicles in and out of the neighborhood, and to and from the ferry terminal and cruise center. As we make our way down this road, it is immediately obvious how different this neighborhood is from both the urban villages and the typical Chinese neighborhood mentioned at the top of this video. First, we have very wide sidewalks. The width of the sidewalks on the two sides of the street is wider than the avenue for the cars, or at least very close to it. We have also got areas designated for bikes and for pedestrians. While the bike paths are not completely protected and separated from pedestrians, they are marked off and distinct from the road and the footpath. And there is something else you might notice if you're paying attention. Many of the pedestrian zones are slightly elevated. They're offset from the main road and from the bikes. If you want to sit outside and have a meal or a coffee, or just walk safely away from vehicle and bike traffic, much of the public area is like this, separated on different levels. This has created a zone that is designed for foot traffic and for human-first experiences that are safe and relaxing. There are bollards and planters and other design elements throughout the area that also make it impossible for cars to park on the footpaths at ground level. In fact, throughout most of the neighborhood, you will see very few access points or driveway entrances for cars to cross into pedestrian zones. Yolun Dadao is unique in that there are no driveways. No cars will ever cross paths with pedestrians except at intersections and crosswalks. The only real downside I see to these elevated and separated footpaths is that they are not super accessible for wheelchair users. You do see quite a few ramps like this, which are, let's be honest, not great. The whole entire Prince Bay neighborhood is well connected to public transit. Both bus stops and subway stops are easily accessible, and of course affordable. The current only subway stop is situated centrally, smack dab in the middle of the Prince Bay neighborhood, meaning that from every corner of this peninsula, you can easily reach the subway station with just a short walk. The ferry terminal is also an international border crossing, taking you to Hong Kong proper or to the Hong Kong International Airport, as well as Macau or mainland Chinese destinations like Zhuhai and others. In the future, it should be a lively international hub of activity, easily accessible from all over the greater Bay Area. If you are a pedestrian or a cyclist, you will also notice how flat it is. Even when crossing the road, you will find no steep curb cuts here that are only good for allowing one wheelchair or one bicycle at a time to enter or exit the crosswalk. Instead, you'll find that the footpaths offer a nearly imperceptible, steady, gradual slope that leads to a totally flat intersection and street crossing. This makes it safer for pedestrians and for cyclists, and much more efficient at moving people. The only thing separating the street from the sidewalk is the safety bollards, not a high curb. Even the pedestrian islands in the middle of the street are totally flat, but they are still kept divided from vehicle traffic thanks to bollards and planters. We also will notice that most of the walkable area is covered by overhangs. Shenzhen is a hot tropical city. It is prone to both intense overhead sun as well as torrential tropical downpours. Walking in the streets in Prince Bay, you are protected from the elements. Not only are there overhangs, but also pedestrian flyovers connecting many of the office and residential towers to each other. This completely eliminates the need for a pedestrian to move to ground level and to deal with vehicle traffic or the aforementioned weather. If you are moving through the neighborhood on your feet, thanks to these different design elements such as the pedestrian flyovers, the overhangs, the separate height footpaths at street level, you can easily do so very safely away from vehicles, out of difficult weather situations, and of course away from the crazy food delivery drivers on their e-bikes. Now let's talk about cars, the bane of urbanists everywhere. Prince Bay is still in development, which means the parking situation is currently not ideal. In the video that you're watching, it might not look so appealing, but in the future, cars will not be parking on street level. There is no on-street parking here. The vast majority of the development has parking underground. Ferry terminal to the new shopping malls to the residential towers. Cars can take you to Prince Bay, but once you arrive, they are meant to be squirreled away underground, and you will use your feet to explore the neighborhood. To that end, there are no gas stations here either. There are, however, 3 EV charging stations. Again, all underground. And speaking of EV charging stations, above ground there's also plenty of street level parking for e-bikes and scooters, and there are charging points for those. Now let's talk about the residential aspect of Prince Bay. What is it going to be like to live here? Typical Chinese cities consist of residential blocks or neighborhoods that are called xiaoqiu. They are basically a set of apartment complexes that are surrounded by a wall with limited access and protected by security guards at different gates along the main public streets. However, here in Prince Bay, you will find residential towers with access directly at street level. There is a doorman or a guard on the ground floor in the lobby, but the buildings are not separate and distinct residential complexes or xiaoqiu as we know them. This is highly uncommon from my experience in China, but it makes the residential tower more of an integrated part of the community, not offset and walled off from the city streets. I would argue that this has both benefits and drawbacks. I've personally always liked Chinese xiaoqiu because of the common areas for residents to gather, the green spaces they provide, and the way that they make your home feel a little bit quieter and more of a distinct space apart from the city. Kind of a peaceful respite away from the hustle and bustle. On the other hand, some xiaoqiu can essentially create a black hole in the city, wiping out entire city blocks, isolating homes and people from the community at large. Once Prince Bay is fully built and residents are filled in with people, hopefully they will be well-integrated parts of the community, with people filling the public spaces between the buildings with song and dance and communal activities, just like they do in public spaces in their xiaoqiu or in their neighborhood parks. There are already many small public squares with tons of green space hidden away in the back streets of Prince Bay. These are already well-suited for the task of operating as a public square for the local residents. Another thing that you will notice, whether on the main street or in the back alleys, is a distinct lack of hostile architecture. Benches are plentiful and flat, people are welcome to post up here for long periods of time, and there are no anti-homeless spikes or angled benches keeping people away and stopping people from resting. With that being said, there is one thing that I found that I do hope changes, and that's the lack of affordable housing in the area. Nanshan District and Shekou in particular are already some of the most expensive neighborhoods in Shenzhen. When searching for information for this video, I was looking up housing costs, and I wanted to find out if there were any decent housing options for your average Joe. Fortunately, all I could find were luxury apartments for rent or sale that were well beyond what an average worker can earn in this city. I was unable to find any information about affordable housing being built in Prince Bay, public housing, that sort of thing, but my Chinese search skills are definitely lacking, so it doesn't mean that there isn't or there won't be, but I really hope that this is not just a neighborhood built for rich people. There's a lot more happening here actually. Maybe in a year or two I can come back and actually give you a guided tour of this place when it is more or less completed, when people are utilizing the space as intended, or maybe even in unintended ways. There are shopping malls going in, entertainment facilities, but in my opinion the last thing Shenzhen needs is yet another shopping mall. The cruise terminal here also seems to be severely underutilized. Apparently nobody really wants to cruise to or from China in the current environment. I'm excited to see how Chinese cities will continue to develop in new and future forward ways. I feel like in a lot of ways it kind of offers the best of both worlds when it comes to allowing access to cars but not being designed for cars. It does feel like a very people-first development designed around walkability, accessibility, and it's well integrated into the local community through multiple public transit options that are convenient and affordable. My feeling while watching this neighborhood spring up over the past few years is that it feels overwhelmingly welcoming. Every street, every alley, every square, it feels like a place for people to come and enjoy and sit and just relax and chill out. Nothing feels closed off, nothing feels antagonistic towards people, and at the same time, it still remains accessible by everybody, again, including vehicles, private vehicles. This neighborhood, to me, it feels like a big leap forward from the typical modern Chinese city, while still retaining a lot of what you expect from a Chinese city. I'm sure that there are plenty of other things that I've missed, so feel free to point them out in the comments. Or if there is something else that you see that you don't like, put that in the comments as well. And if you've made it this far, make sure to give support through commenting, liking, subscribing, even giving your hard-earned money if that's the sort of thing you're into, Findom. And if you do want more content like this, I don't usually make it. Sometimes I do. But, again, let me know in the comments that you like it, and I will focus more on the stuff that you guys want to see. So thank you for watching, and I will see you next time. Africa Town, Chocolate City, Chowke-li-chung, the Wakanda of the Far East. Some of these are names that Guangzhou neighborhoods have earned over the past 25 years, as it became home to the largest African community in Asia. How and why did Guangzhou attract so many Africans? Is Guangzhou still a thriving multicultural hub that is home to an estimated 200,000 native Africans? Or is Africa Town just a shell of what it once was? What is the Chocolate City like now as we enter 2025? I rode the subway from the heart of Guangzhou in Zhujiang New Town, just a few short stops to Xiaobei Station in Yueshou District. I still recall my first visit to Xiaobei in 2012, when I stepped out of the station and into the streets surrounding Xiaobei and being stunned with the diversity of people surrounding me. This time, it was different. Beginning in 2014, the permanent population of Africans in Guangzhou began to decline. While it has always been difficult to find official numbers, the previously thriving Africa Town began to face headwinds back in the early 2010s. During this time, increased scrutiny on migrants and more severe immigration enforcement led to clashes with authorities that caused the city's African population to begin to dwindle. But before we get to that, why were there so many Africans in Guangzhou in the first place? The obvious answer is, of course, economics. Africans, like people from everywhere else in the world, saw the opening up of China as an opportunity. Many Africans, particularly from West African countries of Nigeria and Mali, came to Guangzhou to be closer to the wholesale markets of southern China. Let's go see what's in there. 老外来了。你们在干嘛？老外来了。你们在干嘛？
等你，欢迎你。
谢谢。这个地方都是批发的。
对。
不是直播，就是有关 YouTube。现在在录视频，但是不是直播。
不是直播啊。
多少粉丝啊？
我在国外2万多，不多。
可以。
还行。还有在中国也有2万，差不多。
可以啊。
差不多，这里是衣服还是什么？
衣服鞋都有的。
什么都有。我进去看一下。好，谢谢，拜拜。So this is a wholesale trading shop. You got everything. It is Sunday morning, guys. Sunday morning. Looks like a lot of it is closed. It's 10? What time is it? 11? Sorry, it's 11 in the morning. Sunday morning. So let's just go see what we can find. Beautiful African dress? I'm not sure. I heard that, I think it's Cardi B or... Seriously, don't get offended. I don't follow my female rappers that closely, but I think it's Cardi B or Megan Thee Stallion or one of them that it has a lot of fans in China because they say how awesome and how great the Chinese wigs or fake hair or weaves or I don't know the details. Please don't cancel me, but one of them is really famous and popular here because of that. Hello. China has the best fake hair? I really don't know. Wow, look at that, 10 kwai to 15 kwai for soccer jerseys. Trying to get rid of them. So it looks like this floor has lots of sports apparel, clearly. You got LeBron James, Steph Curry, Bethel, I don't know what that is. Soccer, yeah, everything's closed. The south of China was and still is home to extensive textile manufacturing, amongst other things. Beginning in the late 90s, West African business people sensing opportunity came to Guangzhou to source merchandise to take home to their countries. As their fellow countrymen saw them earning their fortune in China, this led to more and more Africans heading to China, and a new African gold rush in China was on. Here we have electric razors, printer toners, all kinds of stuff. Why is everything closed today? Is it just because it's Sunday, or everything's closed?
No, they will come.
They will come later?
They will come later.
Oh, okay. Thank you. Secondhand shoes, clothes, and bags. And they repair it, and they probably ship it all off to Africa. Look at all this stuff all bundled up in there. It looks like ready to be shipped off. Or maybe just arrived and they gotta fix it up. I don't know. Got a barber here, African barber. Black hairstyle, it's really cool. I got lined up like this when I was in Cuba. I got sick lined up by a Cuban barber. My first time in Guangzhou, I went to an African restaurant. I'm not as cultured as I should be, but they had a goat head on the menu and people were eating it. And I got some sort of like soup thing. Anyway, long story short is it was really good. And I've never really ate African food before. Or since, maybe. I've had Ethiopian food. They have like a big plate, you grab the rice and stuff, and grab the bread. It's been a while, anyway. It's not really in my wheelhouse. Like, I've never been to Africa and I'd really like to go. Anyway, keep going. So these guys sell all kinds of stuff. They got salmonella, brick making machines, ice cream machines, all kinds of electric appliances and machines they sell to Africa. I don't know, is this Congo? RDC? Democratic Republic of the Congo? Again, don't quote me on anything I say. Hello. So here's Nigeria, here's Mali, and again, this is my understanding, is most of the people here are from those two countries. Got Kwai. So yeah, it's pretty much dead here. And unfortunately, I can't stick around too long. Like I said, they're gonna be open later, more people will come. But I've actually gotta get out of here, get back to my home in lovely, beautiful Thailand. So my time is limited today. Waka waka. Hotel check-in. Oh, quite expensive actually. $380 a night. Single room, $150. That's not bad. 为什么这么安静？
好多人还没开门，你们看好多商铺都没开。
已经快12点了。
下午过来。
下午1、2点。
每一天下午吗？
今天星期天。
我知道，星期天周末应该挺忙的。
没有太多人。
现在好多回家过圣诞。
你们是做什么生意？ 租车还是司机？
对，
这边的非洲人都是从哪里？
好多了。
马里还是
多呀。
每个国家？
各个国家都有。
他们都会说中文吗？
有些会，有些不会。
你们觉得非洲菜好吃吗？
没吃过。
没吃过吗？这里应该有
哪国家的？
啊？
你是哪国家的？
你猜？
看不出来。
非洲？没有，我是美国人。
美国哪里？
加州。
加州。
你去过了没？
没有。
没有。你哪里人？
天哪！
你是加州，他是郑州的。
都是郑州的。好的，好，谢谢。好，拜拜。
拜拜。
再见。
老外来啦！
老外来了。
你看你这个英文，老外来了。
我知道，你看一下。
对，老外来了。
老外走了。
老外走了。
好，走了。Everybody here loves my shirt. They all love it. It says on the front, 老外来了, which means the foreigner has come, or the foreigner has arrived. Basically, the foreigner has arrived. And in the back of it, when I walk away, if I didn't have my jacket on, it says 老外走了. It means the foreigner is leaving. Very, very, very popular shirt in Guangzhou. Sometimes you go other places, people don't like it as much. I don't know why. But I also don't wear it that much because I'm too fat to wear it. It's too tight on me. But came back to China, I gotta wear my shirt. 不要，谢谢。很帅的车。挺帅的。Most of the Africans who came to China did not have long-term visas. They came on short-term visas to source products, visit factories, and make connections. Hey, you got a writer. Some stayed. Whether or not they overstayed their visas or found legal ways to get long-term residency, ultimately the large influx of foreigners was beneficial to China, to Guangzhou, and to the Africans' home countries. The population of Africans in Guangzhou, at its peak, grew upwards of 40% per year. Besides the economic opportunities, why else did so many Africans end up in Guangzhou? The written records of Africans in Guangzhou can be traced to at least the 1300s, with the arrival of Moroccan explorer Ibn Battuta, while archaeological records of Africans in Guangzhou date back even further. Guangzhou has long been a melting pot within China, due to its strategic geographic location on the Pearl River and the South China Sea. Due to its geographic advantages, it has long been a major trading hub, and with it, the associated mixing of cultures and peoples. In modern times, it has large populations of ethnic and religious minorities, including large Muslim and Christian populations, as well as Uyghur and Huimin populations. Because of this, Guangzhou has a reputation as being a relatively open and welcoming city. And then the other thing that I've got to mention is it's not just African people, right? There's people from different parts of China, North China, a lot of Huimin and Uyghur people. Basically, a lot of Muslims come to Guangzhou and live in this area, which is probably one of the reasons why a lot of Africans actually ended up settling here as well. Plus, it's a port city. Plus, there's lots of factories and wholesale opportunities. Lots of reasons. But then there's also people from, like, India, I believe, who look like a Sikh with his turban, and lots of people from the Middle East. So it's not just really Africa town, not just really chocolate city. It's people from all over the world come here to Guangzhou and congregate and work and live. And that's another one of the reasons why Guangzhou is one of my favorite cities in China, just because of how integrated and diverse it is. And I say integrated, but I don't mean like the whole town everywhere is full of like diversity, like San Francisco or Berlin or anything. Like the African people, similar to the Chinese people in overseas, like they form their Chinatown. Here they form their Africa City or Africa Town, right? And so it's not like there's African people living fully integrated all across the map here. They're concentrated, but I think that's fine too. I don't think people need to fully integrate everywhere. People can preserve their culture and their way of life, even in a new place, as much as possible, because that's what makes the world beautiful to me. Of course, they can do their best to integrate if they want and not be totally isolated from the world and the community. But it's up to them, as long as they're not bothering anybody. not hurting anybody. That's all that really matters to me. But I don't know. You guys tell me. What do you think? Let's go back in this neighborhood. You know, I never want to speak for anybody who's not myself. Obviously, I can't speak for any African person. I did do an interview, a discussion with an African who's living in the area, not in Guangzhou, but in Dongguan. His name is Willeen. He has a YouTube channel, and we did an interview. We talked to each other. I had a good time. So you can watch that, and you can learn about his experience as an African in China on his channel. I'll put a link in the description. This lady's doing her Guangchangwu by herself, right here. Oh, look at this road right here. So long, so narrow, so dark. Very, very similar to the urban village that I went to yesterday and I made a video about. And should be posted on the channel. Again, these are handshake buildings. They're so close together. You can shake the hands of your neighbor. It's like a horror movie. Got one single solitary bulb up there in the corner. Guangzhou is just one of the coolest cities in the world, in China for sure. I gotta say, Guangzhou is probably like the most raw, most real feeling Chinese megacity. And obviously every city's real, I don't, you know what I mean though, like it's just so gritty. It's like the Hong Kong movies of the old days, Cantonese films. It's just like, I feel like I'm walking through something that's like authentically unique and special every time I'm in Guangzhou. Even like Foshan, places like that, really, really, really freaking cool. You know, people who have been to both places are probably going to disagree with me here, but I would say that Guangzhou and these kind of neighborhoods remind me more of like Naples in Italy than most places on earth. Like they're very different and yet somehow oddly familiar. I hope that makes sense. If you've been to both Naples and Guangzhou and you've walked around in local neighborhoods in both places, you let me know. Here you've got a lot more businesses serving Africa, international trade. You got logistics. You got foreign trade decoration company like Zhuangshou, curtains. Look at that drip. So freaking sick clothes, man. I love it. Even the mannequins here in Guangzhou have wider hips. And yet you still have Tanghulu walking by. Really, really interesting confluence of cultures. And here's the Huimin, Muslim Chinese. More sick drip. These guys got Pakistani, African, Indian, and Middle Eastern cuisine. They got everything. Hey, ni hao, hello. 那是鸡肉吗？牛肉。挺多的，多少公斤
25斤。
25斤。好。Seriously, tell me, who knew you could find a place like this in China? China's amazing, still, after all these years. Still fascinates me to no end. You got homemade ice cream, and it's halal. 我品尝一下那个 mulberry， 不知道 mulberry 是什么，中文我不知道。
可以试的。
Yeah， 那个中文叫什么？桑葚味。OK， 好，谢谢。给我一抽巧克力，一抽那个桑葚味。在一起可以。多少钱？那么便宜？公平哦。
收钱包到账12元。
你是新疆人吗？普通话蛮标准。Okay, so I got 2 scoops of ice cream in Africa Town, Chocolate City, in Guangzhou. The shop run by people from Xinjiang, and the ice cream's only 12 kuai. And what's more, you can add as many toppings as you want for free. So I added Oreo crumbles to it as well.
12元。
Fantastic. Very good. Not too sweet. You know, the desserts in China, never too sweet. Very creamy texture. I really want to go back to Xinjiang. I was last there in 2017, and since then, you know, it's been on the news a lot. But just an incredible, amazing place. Great people, great food, amazing vistas, views, scenery. I gotta go see more of it. It's so cool. Maybe self-drive next year. I move back to China, buy another car. I don't know. Probably not. But who knows what's in store in this life, right? You never can tell. So this right here is a Xibei restaurant, Northeast China. And it says it has Michelin rating. I don't know how many stars, or just Michelin recommends from 2021, 22, 23, and 24. And it's very, very busy, so it must be really, really good. Next time I'm in Guangzhou, I'm gonna remember this place and come here and try it.
During the pandemic, however, some Africans began to feel targeted, both by the authorities and by some of the locals. They were accused of being disease vectors, and some were kicked out of their homes or hotels and forced to the streets. Due to a variety of factors, all foreign populations across China drastically reduced during this time, and the African population in Guangzhou was no different. Now, in a post-pandemic world, many locals have decided to cut out their African middlemen and sell directly to African customers. Many Chinese businesses have established direct relationships with their customers in Africa through social media like TikTok. A wave of migration has gone the other way, with many Chinese citizens now residing in and doing business in Africa. Africa Town is now a mere shadow of what it used to be. As you can see, Guangzhou is still a diverse multicultural place, with people and foods and languages from all over the world intermingling here. But it is a far cry from its heyday, its peak when again over 200,000 Africans lived in Guangzhou. It remains to be seen if it will reach its former heights again. But as with all things in China, everything changes very quickly.
So we got more products from Xinjiang, from Kanasi. But it used to be in China, like in the big cities like Shanghai, you would have people from Xinjiang on the corners selling raisins and dried apricots and stuff. And you don't see that nearly as much, if at all, anywhere. I guess now they have shops, or a shop. 哎，你好，给我一个烤包子，谢谢。So yesterday I ate a kaobaozi in the urban village in Shipai, and now I'm gonna have a kaobaozi in Chocolate City, and we're gonna see which one's better. This one's better. It's seasoned really well. The mutton has really great flavor. There's a little touch of cumin on it, and maybe some other seasonings. It's really good. I could eat kaobaozi every day of the week. And this is why I gain weight whenever I'm in China.
What do you think about the Chocolate City in Guangzhou? Do you have any stories from its peak? Have you been here? If so, please share in the comments. And if you enjoyed this video, please like, comment, and share. Thank you for watching. Goodbye. As all of my loyal fans know by now, I studied geography in university a long time ago. I was focused on human geography, which means I took a lot of classes on things like urban design and how we as people make use of our physical space and how the choices we make impact the community. While I didn't pursue a career related to my degree, not directly anyway, I remain fascinated by the wide breadth of topics that fall under the umbrella of geography. And that's why I get a kick out of YouTube channels like City Nerd, Not Just Bikes, and a few others. I appreciate their focus on promoting better communities through sharing their knowledge on topics such as urbanism, public transport, protected bike lanes, and more. I encourage you to check out their channels if you haven't before. They've kind of indirectly inspired this video, in a way, because I always want them to cover East Asia, but it always seems to be outside the scope of what they choose to cover. So today, I'll be doing what they don't. I will be sharing with you why I think China has one of the best metro systems in the world, especially from a human-first functionality standpoint. I will be illustrating my points by taking you on a journey on the Shenzhen Metro, from an old station to one of the newest and maybe most impressive stations you've ever seen. Because this is my first attempt at a video like this on my channel, if you like it, make sure you let me know by commenting, subscribing, or giving it a like. We start today's journey outside of SeaWorld Station. Every single subway entrance clearly provides passersby with relevant information, including which subway lines this station serves. Each line is color-coded and numbered. So here, as you can see, we have line 2 in brown and line 12 in purple. We also have the exit clearly labeled as exit C, and the signs are in both English and Chinese. If we move around to the side of the exit here, we can see exactly when the station opens and closes, as well as the times of the first and last trains departing the station in each direction on each line. You can also clearly see information for people with disabilities, a service hotline, and toilet information. And speaking of people with disabilities, in China, especially tier 1 cities like Shenzhen, they have worked hard to improve accessibility in order to ensure universal access. This means that all over the city they have added tactile pavement, as well as things like curb cuts for wheelchairs or bikes at every intersection. The tactile pavement here, as you can see, it leads from the main sidewalk along the road to the elevator, which gives you access to the subway station. Unfortunately though, many people don't seem to understand the purpose of tactile paving, so they park their e-bikes over it. Hopefully this can be fixed through education programs in the future. The handicap accessible exit has the exact same information posted as the standard exit. Additionally, you'll see that if you need help accessing the station, the number for assistance is posted, and I've definitely seen people using this service a number of times during my decade plus in China. Now, let's head underground. In order to ride the train, you first have to go through a perfunctory security check. Incredibly, with the massive volume of riders in China, these security checks do not clog the stations. If riders had to fumble around with cards or tickets or coins, this would also clog up the stations. I know it because it used to be that way. People in the past used to need to go to a machine and buy a ticket or a refillable card. And while this is still technically possible, thankfully now the subway is fully integrated with WeChat and Alipay, and the vast majority of riders in China can now quickly and easily activate their ride through one of these ubiquitous apps. There is no need for any extra download, no need for cash, no need for tokens. People can move in and out of the station efficiently and without any added stress of carrying cash
credit cards, or any physical rider pass of any kind. Some stations now have even begun the conversion to facial recognition, further reducing the friction of moving in and out of the station. I will refrain from commenting on whether or not this is a good idea or an infringement on privacy, but I'm sure some of you will have opinions and you will share them in the comments. Now that we are down in the depths, ready to get on the train, let's take a look more closely as to why the trains are so functional from a user-focused human point of view. Again, all of the metro lines are distinctly numbered and colored. This naming convention is standardized across China, so that if you take the train in Shanghai or Beijing or Chengdu or anywhere else in mainland China, you will already be well accustomed to how it works. I don't want to speak to how it's done in other countries, but I have been to places where some trains are labeled as a color, some are a number, and some are a letter or a word. And there doesn't seem to be any rhyme or reason in one city, let alone across the different transit networks countrywide. In China, it's all standardized. We'll also find that here in Shenzhen and other major Chinese cities, the trains typically run every 4 to 6 minutes. This means that you never have to search for a timetable to know exactly when the next train is coming. If you missed a train, you will not be waiting long for the next one. Additionally, it is very rare to find two lines that share one same track. The only one that I can think of off the top of my head is line 3 and line 4 in Shanghai, and that's only at a few stations. For the most part, if you are unsure of where you're going, or if you're going in the right direction, all you need to do is simply look at the track map above the platform. The direction on the side you are going has all of the future stations in the color of the line you are on, while past stations will all be grayed out. So if you are on the wrong side, you simply walk across the platform. Because of these design features, it is nearly possible to be on the wrong platform or to board the wrong train. I would call it idiot-proof, but I'm sure someone out there somewhere has screwed it up at one time or another. While we are standing on the platform, we also see other design features that are mainly for safety. First, you will see that every platform is protected from the track by automatic doors or barriers. This obviously prevents accidental falls into the track, as well as self-harm, random attacks, or other violent acts that could lead to people falling into the path of an oncoming train. Another safety feature, as well as a quality of life feature, is digital displays indicating how full each train car is. People can see the congestion on the train before it arrives, and they can move down the platform to prepare to board where fewer people are, speeding up loading and unloading, as well as preventing mass crush during busier times. Now that we are riding the train, we can notice many details that continue to put the user first. As you ride, you'll find seats for people with disabilities or for the elderly, as well as entire train cars that are just for women. Though again, some further education is required because many men still do take these cars. As we ride the train and listen to announcements, we will find that, for example, here in Guangdong province, we hear Mandarin, Cantonese, and English, while in Shanghai we would hear Mandarin, Shanghainese, and English. Every city that has its own local language or dialect will get announcements in that language in addition to standard Mandarin and in English. This further increases accessibility, especially for older people who may not speak Mandarin very well because they speak their local dialect or language, and for foreigners who can't speak any Chinese language. The signage while you ride the train is also very clear. Prior to arriving at each station, you can take a look at the digital signage that gives you information including past stations, the next station, and subsequent stations, as well as any transfers available at each station. But that's not all. You'll also see which side the doors open on, and a map indicating your current position on the train, and the positions of stairs, escalators, and elevators on the upcoming station platform. Man, there's just so much going on here, isn't there? Pretty awesome, right? Well, now that we've reached our stop, we decide we want to transfer to another line. We get off the train and we walk. Signs are everywhere, still color coordinated and still in English and Chinese. Most transfer stations will have arrows and transfer information on the ground, as well as on walls and columns, and now some even have color lines running along the ceiling. This is particularly helpful in unfamiliar stations when it's especially crowded and you are unable to see the ground. We also continue to have elevators for accessibility. In some older stations that don't have elevators, however, they do have chairlifts at each set of stairs, and metro staff are on hand to help anyone who needs it. Additionally, crack is whack. If you are still here on this video, I take it that you've enjoyed learning about all of this train stuff so far, but why don't we hop off the train and just briefly take a look at what a modern, clean, bright, brand new train station looks like here in Shenzhen. This is Gangsha Bay, or Gangsha North, in the heart of downtown Shenzhen, and it is a massive transport hub connecting lines 2, 8, 10, and 14. People will say that this station is similar to the waterfall at Changi Airport in Singapore, and while I do see the resemblance, of course, it's not quite as cool as that waterfall in my opinion, but I'm not complaining either. And that's not why we're here anyway. We're here to learn about why the subway is so good from a functionality perspective. So here again, you shouldn't be surprised to learn that all of the information about this station, including bathrooms, parent rooms, changing rooms, handicap accessibility, and more, is easily accessible from various monitors throughout the station. We're not going to cover that again.
Finally, before I leave you, let's take a ride on one of the newest lines in Shenzhen. The new trains are fully automated, which means no driver. Unfortunately, for the time being, that does mean that there is still a human in the driver's position who presumably can prevent the train from an emergency as a last resort, but for the most part it seems that they just get to sit and enjoy the best view in the house. And hey, if cars can be fully automated, then I see no reason why trains can't be. One other cool feature of these new train cars is wireless charging pads for your phone or other wireless devices. This is a feature that probably can only be enjoyed in countries where people trust those around them. If you are lucky enough to be in a place with low rates of theft or petty crime, then having wireless chargers accessible for people to use is a really nice touch. Those are just some of the reasons why I would argue that the subway in China is one of, if not the best in the world from a user perspective. There are many other reasons as to why the metro is so great here, including how rapidly it continues to expand, not just in Shenzhen, but in many other cities all across China. I could go on and on and on, but I'm just going to leave it here at that. So what do you think about Chinese metro or Shenzhen metro in particular? Are there any features that your local metro has that you think China should implement? Or the other way around, any features that you see here that you wish your local subway would implement? Let me know in the comments, and if you want to see more videos looking at similar topics like this, please subscribe and comment and let me know that this is something that you want from my channel moving forward. Thank you and see you later. So this is line 14, one of the newest lines here in Shenzhen, and there is no driver. This train is fully automated, fully autonomous. This lady just sits up here and observes. I'm standing here today in the courtyard of a beautiful, beautiful educational facility. No, it's not a college, not a university, not even a high school. This is an elementary school and a middle school. Super high-tech, super advanced, futuristic, built or attempted to be built beginning in 2015. However, this school was never completed, and now all we have left is an empty shell of a futuristic elementary school that never came to be. So today what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna tell you the story of this school, and I'm gonna give you a tour of this incredible abandoned campus that was built originally for some of the most wealthy, some of the most elite here in Zhuhai. Pretty much everything I say in this video comes from one article that I was able to find about this place. I'm gonna put the link in the description, but rest assured it's translated perfectly by me from Chinese to English because my Chinese is so good. So I'm not gonna make any mistakes at all whatsoever. But if you do wanna check for mistakes, please, if you can read Chinese, educate us in the comments. Let's do it. 看一下. We have this massive, massive Bao'anting right here, which is a security guard station, essentially. If there was school here, this would be the main gate where the security guards sit and let people in. Down here, we have the stairs, we have the wheelchair ramp on this side. And you might notice we have essentially a mirror image of this place across the way. That's because this is a middle school and elementary school, primary school. So they're very, very similar. That one actually you can't get into, so it's blocked off. Okay, again, back to the courtyard. We're gonna go to our left, and this is the cafeteria. You can see how close they were to actually completing this school and getting students in here by looking at this cafeteria. And I say that because although the floors aren't done, lots of stuff's not done, they already had all of the tables, chairs, they're built together, but they already had all of these ready to go for the cafeteria. They're already delivered and here. We have lots of PVC pipes strewn about. Coming here from the back of the cafeteria, back to the courtyard. Of course, we have classrooms, we have housing for some students, we have all that stuff. And then we have the main building right here on our left. We're gonna go through and check. Another massive courtyard. You would hope and expect that all of these planters everywhere would have had trees. There would have been shade here. Otherwise, the sun is very bright here in Guangdong. These kids would have been getting toasted and roasted every single day. Here we have a classroom, as you can see.
You even have school desk chairs back there, already lined up, and tables stacked upside down. I don't know if you can see it. Door's locked. But this school, it may not look like it, but 7, 8 years ago, it was very, very close to actually being done. Oh, here you go. Here's a better view. Same classroom. You got desk chairs, tables, all that good stuff, ready to learn. More beautiful, bright classrooms. It's all wired up. You got your cords for your broadband, you got your security camera cords up there, you got your lights, you got it all. And yet you don't have anybody here. Nothing but echoes. I would have thought, personally, that materials, and you're gonna see a lot of materials, whoever owned this stuff, or the workers, anybody could have salvaged the materials, resold them, put them somewhere else, put them to good use. And that's not the case. Speaking of materials, look at all these tiles, bricks, tiles, porcelain. I'm not a construction man. It's all here, sitting here, waiting to be used. 8 years later, crazy. Bathroom over here. Bathroom over here. So yeah, that tells us where we are right now. We're in the housing section of this school. It goes room, toilet, room, 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 toilet. Okay? Toilet. These are not classrooms. This was probably would have been bunk beds, both sides, some desks for the kids to study. Another thing that you might notice, particularly if you are an American, is that there's nobody living in here. In America, a place like this, abandoned, plenty of space, have bathrooms, not running water, but you know, a space, good climate here. You would have people living in this place, squatting in here, treating it as their home, because we do have a homeless crisis in America, economic crisis for a lot of people, but you don't see that here. Now, I'm not one of those YouTubers in China that says there are 0 homeless people in China, or that everybody's living a perfectly comfortable, happy life, because no, that's not the case. And actually, I should have filmed this video last time I came here. Actually, the first time I came here, I didn't really realize what it was, where it was. The reason why I decided to come back is because I looked it up to learn about it. I was like, why is this school here? Why is it empty? Anyway, the point is, last time, I went to the other side, the other school, and there were squatters there. First, we're gonna keep exploring. And it's not uncommon for Chinese students, elementary, middle, high school, to live at their school during the week, and on the weekends, they will go home to their families. Not unusual at all, which is why we see a building like this. Oh my God. Made it to the top floor. Wow. So this entire building, as far as I can see, is all housing and the associated rooms and needs for housing students. I believe I'm on the 6th floor, which again is the top. And I don't see any elevators anywhere. So hopefully there would have been no students with any special needs. But there's probably an elevator somewhere. Let's find it. Let's do that. Oh, if I could breathe. Well, I walked through the whole dormitory, left to right, top to bottom, and I did not find an elevator shaft. Which means, sorry guys, no accommodations for you. Only able-bodied people are allowed to study here.
Pretty bird. Yeah, can you say pretty bird? Pretty bird. Yes, pretty bird. Polly, want a cracker?
There's a guy over there yelling at me, so I gotta try to finish this up quick. All right, so let's get a lay of the land again, guys. Behind me, the entrance. Behind me, the school classrooms. Behind me, on the left of me, the cafeteria. To the right of me was the housing, dormitories. No idea
Here we have another guard tower, guard place, Baoanting for people. Looks like this one was for actually, probably for teachers, parents that want to come park their car at the school. This was probably a vehicle entrance. They would have had a gate here, mechanical, for the cars, and then the parking garage right down here, probably for the hundreds of teachers and staff that would have worked here. So I'm currently here on the second floor of the main administration building, and we could tell that just because, let's just look around real quick. Of course, massive, massive, massive atrium, huge, huge front doors. You can tell this would have been a very beautiful building. We have almost a hotel, like luxury hotel, winding staircase over there, and this clearly not the room for the students. Another thing to note is just across the way here is going to be the beach, literally like 100 meters. You can hopefully see just right through here. We'll go there next, but the beach is just right over there. And then you have these luxury condos right here that are mostly empty these days. You can even see, let's just look over here. You can see there's red banners on some of the balconies with phone numbers. These are people trying to sell their units because, hey, there's nothing out here. There's no shops, no malls, no schools, nothing. The speculation out here, it didn't pay off. So this was like a main street as well out here. I would assume they would have built a place for cars to drive up and drop off their kids and that sort of thing right here, but who knows? I don't know anything about construction or building or anything like this, but if you do know something, please answer me this. If a building like this, a facility like this, gets completely abandoned for years when it's partially constructed, is there any way to actually salvage it? Can you actually turn it into something high quality and good in the future if you do come through, clean it all up and rebuild? Is it possible, or is it just so, degraded and, it's been left to the elements that it will just fall apart? Or I don't know, tell me, what could actually potentially be done about a place like this? Let me know in the comments, please. I mean, like, how could you test like all of the electronic components that have been, the wiring that's been left out? How do you test all the pipes and the water and how do you do it? How do you do it? The fittings, the toilets, they've been sitting there unused for 9 years. Just come through and redo it all and then hit flush and flip switches and it's good? And if it's not good, then you fix it? Can it be fixed? Again, let me know in the comments, please. Life finds a way. Here again, more materials, tiles. I would assume all these tiles, potentially, I guess they're same tiles probably that are over here. That's what it looks like. So they would have, this whole area would have been tiled, would have been very beautiful, have planters everywhere, would have had trees. What in the hell? Springs? So it looks like here in the office building at least, there is an elevator shaft. So for the professionals that work here, they get to use elevators. For the students that live here, hey, no wheelchairs allowed. Now that we've taken a tour around the facilities, let me tell you the rest of the story about this school. In 2015, construction broke ground. Also in 2015, a oil depot, which is just nearby, had a spill, a diesel spill. 22 cubic meters of diesel, according to the story that I read. Now, I gotta say, I don't know how much 22 cubic meters of diesel fuel is. I don't know the true impact spilling that would have on the environment. I don't know what it's done to this place here. I'm probably wallowing in poison right now as I sit here and tell you this story. So let's just say there was a spill and it's bad. But for whatever reason, the developers continued on with the construction. For 2 years, 2017, we got to the point where the school is currently sitting right now. That's when they stopped. In 2017, they were so close. They were enrolling students, they were hiring teachers, hiring administration, telling parents, next year your kids are gonna move into this school. The government nixed that. They said, no, it's unsafe. I don't know if it's the water, the soil, the air, I don't know what it was, but they said, your kids cannot come here. You guys gotta stop this construction right now. This school is not fit for students. They said they're gonna move the oil depot away from here and they're gonna clean up the diesel spill. So 2 years later, 2019, supposedly, hey, they got approval. We can continue construction, finish the school, enroll students, everything's hunky-dory. Same thing happened, approval was not granted, construction was not done, we're still sitting here in this limbo. 2020, again, approval is granted, cleanup met, we're gonna start enrolling students, we're gonna start hiring teachers, we're gonna start getting ready to go. This was during COVID, of course. I don't know what kind of impact COVID had on it, but I'm sure it impacted something, which means, hey, the school is still in this situation that it is currently today. Now here we are in 2024, and they've said once again, they're going to finish construction and open the school, but with a twist. The twist is, because a lot of the parents, they bought the houses in this area specifically for this school, for their kids to go to this school. In China, a lot of parents do that. They will buy a property or a house in a particular school district or specifically so their kid can go to a good school. And since this was an elementary and middle school originally, well, they were probably young parents or future parents, they weren't parents yet. And now it's been 8, 9 years. Those kids who were maybe 3, 4, 5 years old when their parents bought the houses and moved in, they're now getting ready for high school or middle school. So this school now, if it ever gets completed, is planning to be a high school. Construction is still not begun again. There's still no timeline for when that's gonna happen, but that is the current plan as of today, 2024. And one other thing is actually the oil depot that was supposed to be moved away from this site is still essentially next door, according to the internet. So despite all this, even if the diesel's all been cleaned up, you still have a chance for another spill, another disaster. Nothing's really been done 9 years later. That's the story of this school here in Tangjia Peninsula in Zhuhai, China. And I hope you enjoyed a little walk around the school, the campus. It's beautiful. It reminds me in some ways of, I don't know, Spain a little bit. Kind of a Moorish Mediterranean vibe. I don't know if that's what they're going for, but that's how I feel. What do you think about it? Looks like we have ourselves another oil spill. These parents aren't gonna be happy. Okay, here comes the security guard again. I don't even know he's really a security guard. He's not even wearing security guard clothes, but we're gonna find out. He's gonna come talk to us. Should I play dumb? Like I don't speak Chinese? Should I play it straight? Where'd he go? There he is. 看一下。啊？看一下。
这看什么？
看学校。
你是哪里的？你这看学校？
啊？你说啥？
你是哪个地方的？
我是这里的。
啊？
我是这里的。So over here you got people. Over here you got people who park their like sandwich for their shop, like their this Dongbei barbecue. What is this one? I'm not sure what this one is. But then they go sell their food and stuff by the beach at night. So it's good storage for vendors. 什么时候开这个？不知道。好的，好，谢谢。So then over here, this one, pretty much the same thing. Very, very similar. Now, I was talking about homeless people. We'll see if it's got. 没关系。Okay. 我不去，没事。So I was talking about. 没事，没事，没事。So I was talking earlier about homeless people, right? And so previously when I came here, actually this whole area right here had like a fangcha, like RVs, and there was people here, and then they were hanging their clothes and doing stuff. Some of them were even living in I talked to a guy, let's just say this. I talked to a guy who had an RV, and he had it all pimped out. Like he had like a awning, he had giant jugs of water. He was living here, and there was other people living here as well. And I was talking to him, and he said people were actually living inside the school as well in some of the rooms, and I could see people hanging clothes and stuff. But now it's all been cleared out. So I'm not sure if that was for the holidays or what the situation was. But even now you can see all these cars parked. because you can park right here on the street for free, and you don't have to pay for parking inside your xiaoqu, inside your apartment complex, if you park here. And even, again, there's another, almost like a fangche or an RV up here. Let's just go look at it before we go. I don't know if anybody's living in this one. Probably not. It looks quite fancy and nice. But who knows? Who knows? Who knows? Looks pretty cool. This one right here. I'm not even sure what car this is. Voya, maybe. Nice. Come all the way from North China. So there could be people living in here. Or just camping out, hanging out. Because again, people park here for free. One of the few places in China you're gonna find free street parking. Ooh, very cool. Here we have more apartments across the street, more developments that were built on this peninsula along with the school, same time. A lot of more probably parents speculating that their kids would be able to go to a school like this and get a very, very good education, but it didn't come to pass. So here I stand outside the school on the main oceanfront boulevard. There you go, there's the office, the administration building I just showed you. And here is the main boulevard. Boom. Let's just cross the street real quick, show you the beach. Here you have a running path that goes all the way along the beach, all the way along the ocean front for miles and miles and miles. Pretty much all the way to downtown Zhuhai, if I do say so myself. It's far. And here we are at the ocean, at the beach. Not so many people there. Straight ahead is that rich, expensive development right there. You do have some villas on the ground level right there. Very, very nice, very fancy, expensive places. And you have a few shops, a little bit of retail and a sales center right here, but nothing really very good. And besides that, out here, there is not a lot going on. So it's a lot of housing and a school that doesn't exist. And a nice little boardwalk. So that's the story of the Sanxin Tangjiawan high-tech elementary middle school in Zhuhai, China. And I hope you enjoyed it. If you did, drop a comment. If you didn't, 给我滚. And I'll see you in the next one. Adios.